The Washington Post is reporting on an incredible and damning story on the issue of the death penalty. The FBI came out and admitted today that nearly every member of the FBI's laboratory's microscopic hair comparison unit gave faulty testimony in 95% of trials, all of which favored prosecutors for nearly 2 decades. This is way above and beyond what we thought originally. We knew there were problems with hair evidence and how it's used, but this is way above and beyond what anybody thought here. They say, quote, up until 2000, 26 of the unit's 28 members who analyzes hair via visual comparison, i.e., by looking at hair, not using DNA analysis, overstated forensic matches in ways that favored prosecutors in more than 95% of the 268 trials reviewed so far. 32 of those cases involved defendants sentenced to death, 14 of whom have already died. Here's the most chilling part. Quote, though today's revelations will likely exonerate dozens of victims, the Washington Post warns that there may be thousands of cases like these. The findings likely scratch the surface. The FBI said as of mid-April that reviews of about 350 trial testimonies and 900 lab reports are nearly complete, with about 1,200 cases remaining. The Bureau said it is difficult to check cases before 1985 when files were computerized. It has been unable to review 700 cases because police or prosecutors did not respond to requests for information. Also, the same FBI examiners whose work is under review taught 500 to 1,000 state and local crime lab analysts to testify in the same ways. Goodness gracious. Do you understand what this means? What this article lays out is that a majority of the hair evidence that's been presented in death penalty cases is total horseshit. Because they're saying that while in some cases they do DNA analysis, and in those cases, obviously we get a better result and a more consistent result, and we know with a higher level of certainty what's going on, they're saying that in most cases, they don't do DNA analysis. They do visual comparison. So they have an expert come in and say, yep, I see that hair, and it looks kind of like that guy's hair who might be guilty here. I'm going to say as an expert that he's guilty. That's not science! That's a jackass who's making conclusions based off of nothing. It's just his opinion. And I just told you 500 to 1,000 state and local crime lab analysts were taught the same thing. This is beyond damning, man. Look, what this shows you is the concern is not let's do justice. Let's get the right people. Let's make sure that we get the guilty people. That's our job here, to get to the truth. No. The concern is keep the conviction rates high. Hey, we came up with this method where we can kind of test, but not really, whether or not this person did the crime. Look at their hair, and then you do the comparison. And that's it. And if you think they did it, just say they did it. Look at the hair. If it looks somewhat like their hair, just say, okay, yeah, guilty. I'm an expert. Aha. Okay, even people who are still supporters of having a systemic death penalty, systematic death penalty, you can't look at this and say, yep, sounds about right. I'm still for the death penalty. To say that is just immoral at this point. They're letting you know that in 95% of 268 trials where they looked at hair to do an analysis and to give expert opinion, they're saying in 95% of cases it was bullshit. In 32 of those cases, the person was sentenced to death based on bullshit hair analysis that's not scientific when it's posed as if it's scientific. Come on, man. You're adding this on top of a previous study that we did, which found that 4% of people on death row are innocent. I mean, how much more evidence do people need? When you have a system set up where you put people to death, you're not going to get it right every time because people are just people. Humans are just humans. We make mistakes. We fuck up. We get things wrong. We don't have all the answers. We don't have a foolproof system set up. See, we've given the illusion of that, right? Because you go into a courtroom and it's all clean. You got the person wearing a fucking robe sitting there, the judge. I know everything. I'm a judge. the way they set it up, well, first you have this person give an argument, then you have that person give an argument, then we call the expert witnesses, and the jury's sitting there, oh, this must be real official, we must never get anything wrong. My ass, we never get anything wrong. We get it wrong all the time. How can you have a system it's easy to screw up in, even with the appeals process, but you also say, well, we're still going to choose to kill people if we think that that's the right punishment. Conservatives should be leading the charge against this, man. If you really believe in small government, the biggest government I can imagine is a government that tells you should die. I mean, what? A government that commits murder, a government that will murder you if you do the wrong thing, right? And again, everybody knows I have no love for criminals. I have no love for the people who commit murder. I've always said, philosophically, I agree with the death penalty. Theoretically, I agree with it. If we had access to perfect information, I would be arguing for it. But we don't have that access, and we don't live in just a world of theory. We live in a world of empirical realities, and empirically speaking, we got the news today, hair analysis is basically bullshit. They don't do it the right way. They use it to get the wrong people, and you and I are paying for it. Our tax dollars are going towards this system, this incredibly backward system. Well, by logical deduction, I mean, we are the ones that are financing the murder of innocent people in some of these cases. So by our own logic, we just killed innocent people, so shouldn't we? That's murder, so we're guilty of murder, so shouldn't we get the death penalty too? We're paying for it. That's the paradox of the death penalty, and you can't escape that paradox. So the answer is to get rid of having the death penalty, because in the end, it ends up doing way more harm than good.